I never thought I'd be that guy on the internet, the one asking if he's the idiot for walking away after discovering his wife's betrayal. But here I am, and honestly, I don't see any other way. It's been a long, shitty road, and I just need to get this out of my head. Maybe someone will tell me I'm justified. Maybe I just need to hear it from strangers because my own mind is spinning so fast I can't think straight anymore. Let me start with the basics. My name's Alex, I'm 32, and I was planning to get married next week to Lisa. We'd been together for 5 years through all the usual ups and downs. She was the kind of woman everyone admired, smart, beautiful, funny, the kind of girl who lit up a room. I thought I knew her, thought I trusted her with everything. That's why what I found out hit me like a punch to the gut, so hard I almost doubled over. It started with a simple, almost innocent search on my phone, just a quick glance at her texts. I wasn't snooping. I swear, I was just trying to remember something she'd said earlier. But then I saw a message, not just any message. It was from her brother, Jake. It was a little phrase, just a snippet of a conversation, but it was enough to make my palms go cold. It said, "Can't believe we're finally doing this. I've wanted you forever." I stared at it. My stomach sank. My hands shook a little as I scrolled up trying to find more. That's when I saw the other messages, screenshots of hotel receipts, secret calls, late-night conversations that looked way more than brother-sister talk. I felt my chest tighten. My brain refused to accept it at first. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe I was reading it wrong, but I knew I was. I remember sitting there, my phone trembling in my grip. I kept looking at her name, her face, trying to piece together what I'd missed all these years. All those mornings she'd left early or stayed out late, all those business trips she claimed to take. The lies suddenly felt like a noose tightening around my neck. I went through her stuff after that. I found a hidden drawer in her closet, an old shoe box filled with receipts, hotel key cards, and photos. There was an explicit photo of her and Jake. It wasn't just casual, they looked intimate. And the worst part, she was wearing her wedding dress in some of the pictures. I swear I felt my knees go weak. That's when I knew she'd been lying all along about everything. Our relationship, her feelings, her fidelity. I felt like I'd been hit with a sledgehammer, but I also felt something else. Rage. Pure, white-hot rage. How could she do this? How could she betray me like this? Right before our wedding, right before I was supposed to say I do. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat there clutching that photo, feeling the cold weight of betrayal sinking into my bones. I couldn't believe I missed all the signs, her secret phone calls, her weird mood swings, the way she'd always dodge questions about her whereabouts. It was all there, lying in front of me. I kept thinking about her, about Jake, about the life I'd envisioned that was now shattered. I told her I knew. I confronted her the next morning, voice tight and trembling as I laid everything bare. She looked surprised at first, then angry, then just resigned. She didn't deny it. She just said, "You don't understand, Alex. It's not what you think." That's when I realized this wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A choice she made over and over again. I felt my fists clench. "You lied to me for 5 years," I said, "and you thought I wouldn't find out, that I'd never see the truth." Her eyes flickered with something I didn't recognize, shame, fear. I didn't care. There's more to the story, a lot more, but I'll stop here. I just needed to get this out. My stomach still twists whenever I think about that photo, that betrayal. I don't know what I'll do next, but I do know my trust is gone. Everything she told me was a lie, and I'm not sure I want her in my life anymore. After I found everything out, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. My stomach was a constant churn, like I'd swallowed 1,000 stones. I couldn't focus on work, couldn't sleep. All I could do was relive that moment in my mind. Her face when I confronted her, the way her voice cracked like she was trying to deny it but knew she couldn't. The betrayal cut so deep I could taste it. That whole morning I kept replaying everything I saw. The texts, the receipts, the photos. My mind kept circling around one question: how many times did she lie? How many nights had she been with him? Did she ever love me? Or was I just a placeholder for her while she was screwing my brother? That thought made my blood boil. I decided I needed to see Jake. Not just to confirm what I already knew, but to hear it from him. I drove to his place, my heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon. When I got there, he opened the door, looked like he'd been waiting for me. His face was pale, eyes darting. I didn't bother with small talk. "You lied to me," I said coldly. "All those years, all those promises, you lied to my face." He hesitated, then said, "Look, Alex, I didn't plan for this to happen. It just did. I never wanted to hurt you." "Shut up," I snapped. "You're no different from her. You both played me." My fists clenched. I felt the blood rush to my head. I wanted to punch him, to make him feel what I was feeling, but instead I just stared at him. "Tell me, how long has this been going on?" He looked down, then muttered, "A few months, since her sister's wedding. It was a stupid mistake." "A stupid mistake," I echoed, voice rising. "You call it a mistake after all these years, after all the lies she told me? Do you even realize what you've done to me?" He looked ashamed, but I didn't care about apologies. I was too angry. I turned away, fighting back the rage. I left his house feeling hollow, like I'd just been punched in the chest. I needed to get out, to think. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling around revenge. I kept asking myself, what could I do to really make her feel what she's done? How could I make her see the damage she caused? That's when the plan started forming, cold, calculated, precise. I knew I had to do something that would hit her hard without crossing into something I'd regret. The next day, I started gathering evidence. I knew she'd be at work, so I broke into her email account. I needed to understand how far her lies went, what she'd told her friends, her coworkers, everyone. It was a sick feeling, hacking into her life like that, but I had to know just how deep the deception ran. I found messages from friends, acquaintances, even some from her family, all covering for her, all kept in the dark about the truth. What I uncovered made my stomach turn. She'd been feeding a web of lies, pretending everything was perfect, while behind the scenes she was sneaking around with Jake. She'd even told her best friend that I was a little boring, but I was enough for now. That crushed me more than anything. I'd built a whole life around her, and she'd been lying the whole time. I also found her phone, hidden in her closet. I knew I shouldn't do it, but I had to see. I watched her delete messages and clear her history, but I already had the screenshots. That was the final nail. I knew I couldn't just walk away and let her get away with it. I needed a plan, something calculated, something that would make her regret ever crossing me. I started mapping out my revenge. I wasn't interested in petty revenge. I wanted her to feel the loss of everything she'd built, to taste the consequences she never saw coming. I knew she'd try to deny it, try to spin some story about misunderstandings. But I had proof, and I was going to use it. Now I'm sitting here, writing this out, trying to figure out my next move. The betrayal is burned into my mind, but I need to turn this into something more. The question is, how far am I willing to go? And what's the real cost of revenge? I keep telling myself I just want her to feel the pain she caused, but part of me knows I'm heading into dangerous territory. Still, I won't let her get away with it. Not without consequences. Not without making her see what she's done to me. If you want me to keep going, just say the word. I spent the next couple of days buried in my thoughts, plotting and making sure every step was calculated. I knew I couldn't just confront her with the evidence and expect her to crumble. That wouldn't be enough, not for what she'd done. I needed a plan that would make her feel the kind of betrayal I'd been feeling, something that would strip away her comfort and leave her exposed. First, I decided I'd need to leak some of the information. Not all of it, just enough to unsettle her. Details of her secret meetings, the hotel receipts, the photos. I wanted her to know I had everything, but I also wanted to do it in a way that wouldn't immediately blow up in my face. I set up a burner email and started sending anonymous tips to her friends, her family, her coworkers. I chose carefully people she trusted, people who would be blindsided and hurt by the truth. I crafted a message. "Did you know about Lisa and Jake? I think she's been lying to everyone for years. Look into her recent phone activity." I sent it, then waited. The feeling was sickening, like watching a predator stalk its prey. I kept checking my burner email every hour, nervously, waiting for the fallout. Meanwhile, I planted a few more pieces of evidence in her car and her purse. Nothing overt, just enough for her to find and panic. A photo of her and Jake from the hotel, a receipt from a restaurant they'd lied about. I even left a small note in her purse. The truth always comes out. I wanted her to find it, to feel like everything was unraveling around her. Her reaction was priceless. The next morning she called me while I was at work, voice strained and shaky. "Alex, someone's been spreading rumors. People are asking questions. What's going on?" I played dumb. "I have no idea. Maybe someone's just trying to stir trouble." I kept my tone neutral, but inside I was smirking. I wanted her to know I was behind it. With every move, I was tightening the noose. Over the next few days, her world started to crack. She became paranoid, calling me constantly, accusing me of spreading lies. I just kept telling her I had no idea what was happening. Meanwhile, I kept monitoring her phone, her emails, her social media. Everything was falling into place. One afternoon, I caught her sneaking into her email account again, trying to delete some messages. I timed it perfectly. I confronted her right there, standing in the doorway of our apartment. "Looking for something, Lisa?" I asked, voice cold. She froze, then spun around. "What are you doing? You're stalking me." "No," I said. "I just know the truth now about all of it, and I know you've been lying to me about everything." I held up the screenshot of her and Jake. "It's over. I'm done trusting you." Her face went pale. She stammered, "You don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly." I cut her off. "You betrayed me right before I was supposed to marry you. And I think you're finally realizing what's coming for you." I watched her eyes flicker with panic. I could see her trying to come up with some excuse, some last-minute spin, but I wasn't in the mood. I wanted her to see the damage she caused. I told her I was done. Done with the lies, done with the sneaking around. I handed her a piece of paper with a date and time. Our wedding was canceled. I told her I was moving out that night. As she sat there, stunned, I packed a small bag. I didn't want to stay in a place where my trust was shattered. I left her standing there, her face a mix of shock and anger, knowing I was done. I walked out, my heart pounding, feeling lighter but also furious. That evening I sat in my apartment alone, feeling the weight of everything lift slightly, yet also feeling the burning need for justice. I knew I was about to do something big, something that would finally make her pay for what she'd done. The pieces were in place. All I had to do was execute the plan and see her face when she realized she'd lost everything she ever took for granted. Next, I'll reveal my full revenge plan. It's brutal but non-violent. Stay tuned. The day I executed my plan, I felt like I was walking a tightrope, every step deliberate, every move calculated. I had all the pieces I needed now, and I was ready to make her see what she'd done. The goal wasn't just to hurt her. I wanted her to understand the extent of her betrayal, to feel the emptiness she'd left behind. I didn't want her to walk away from this unscathed, but I also didn't want to cross any lines I'd regret. First, I set up a fake social media account, anonymous and untraceable, just enough to be credible. I crafted a message, short but sharp. "Lisa, everyone knows what you did. Jake, not who you think he is. Watch out." I posted it on the local community boards, the gossip pages, and even some private groups she belonged to. I knew she'd see it, and I knew it would spread fast. It was a slow burn, like planting a seed of chaos. Next, I had some of her close friends I'd carefully contacted on the side. I told them I'd seen her with Jake, that I had proof of everything. I handed over some screenshots, photos I'd taken from her hidden phone. I told them the truth, her lies, her secret life. I told them they needed to confront her or at least be prepared for what's coming. It was a calculated risk. This kind of betrayal could tear her social circle apart faster than I could say ex-wife. But I wasn't finished. I wanted her to really feel the loss, the humiliation. So I printed out copies of all the evidence I had, photos, receipts, texts, and carefully placed them where she'd find them, in her purse, in her car, even in her workplace. I knew she'd find some of it during her day. When she saw those pictures, the ones of her and Jake, I wanted her to know I'd been watching, that I'd been planning this for days. That night I waited at my place, watching her house through a window. I saw her pull into her driveway, look around nervously, and then spot the evidence I left. Photos slipped into her bag. Her hands trembled as she looked at them. I could see her mouth open in shock. That was the moment I'd been waiting for, her realization that everything was unraveling. She called me then, voice trembling with anger and fear. "Alex, what the hell is this? Do you have any idea what you're doing?" I answered calmly, "I'm exposing the truth, Lisa. You lied to me for years, cheated with my own brother. You think you can just walk away from this? No, you need to see it all laid out. Maybe then you'll understand what you've lost." Her silence on the line was deafening. She tried to deny it, of course, said it wasn't what it looked like, that I was mistaken. But I knew better. The evidence was undeniable. Her voice cracked as she begged, pleaded, but I cut her off. I told her I was done, that I was leaving the house that night. I wanted her to feel the cold, sharp finality of my decision. So I packed up my things and left her standing there, staring at the evidence I'd left for her. I walked out with a sense of relief, but also a strange emptiness, like I'd taken a step into the unknown. I knew I was headed toward revenge, but I also knew I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross easily. Still, I told myself she deserved every bit of it. She betrayed me in the worst way possible. Now I'm back at my apartment, waiting for her to call me back, waiting for her to realize she's lost everything. I know she'll try to deny it again, spin some story, but the truth is out there now, and her world is starting to crumble. It's a good feeling, but it's also terrifying. Because revenge isn't clean, and I can already feel the weight of what's coming next. The fallout will come soon enough. And when it does, I'll be ready to see it through. All that's left now is for her to realize she's not getting away with this. Not without consequences. Not without feeling the cold truth of betrayal. This is just the beginning. The next morning, I woke up feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and dread. I'd done what I set out to do, leaked the evidence, sent the messages, left the physical proof in her space. Her world was starting to fall apart, and I could see it in her eyes when she called me later that day. The panic, the disbelief, the way she kept stammering, trying desperately to deny everything. She called me on her lunch break, voice trembling. "Alex, I don't know what you're doing, but this has gone too far. Why are you doing this?" I kept my voice steady but cold. "Because you lied to me for 5 years. You betrayed me with my brother. I wanted you to see it, see what you've done." I paused, then added, "You want to pretend it's not real? Fine, but I've got all the proof. Everyone's going to know." Her breath hitched. "You're crazy. This isn't who I am." "Oh, I think it is," I said. "And once everyone finds out, your little world of lies is going to come crashing down. You think you'll get away with it? Sorry, Lisa, not this time." She begged, pleaded, even threatened me, said I was destroying everything, that she loved me, that it was all a mistake. I didn't believe her anymore. Nothing she said mattered. I just wanted her to feel what she'd done, to feel the weight of losing everyone who ever cared about her. That's why I didn't respond to her pleas. I just hung up and stared at the phone, feeling a twisted sense of closure. The next step was to sit back and watch the fallout unfold. I logged into the social media accounts I'd set up earlier, watching the comments and shares grow. Some friends started reaching out, confused and angry. A few came forward with their own stories, little things she'd told them that didn't add up, hints of her secret life. It was chaos, and I loved it. Then she started to break down. I could hear her crying later that evening, her voice cracking in ways I'd never heard before. She finally admitted she'd been lying, that she couldn't take it anymore. Said she was sorry, said she'd do anything to fix it, but I wasn't buying it. It was just another lie. She'd been lying for years, and I knew the damage was done. I decided then that I had to end it for good. I couldn't keep living with the lies, and I certainly wouldn't rebuild what was broken. I scheduled a meeting with a lawyer, started drafting the divorce papers. I wanted her out of my life completely. No contact, no second chances. She needed to understand she'd lost everything she cared about, her reputation, her marriage, her credibility. At the same time, I made sure to keep my distance. I avoided her calls, blocked her from social media. Every time I saw her in the hallway, I felt my blood boil. There was a part of me that wanted to confront her again, to scream at her, but I knew that wouldn't help. I had already made my decision. Enough was enough. Finally, I handed over the papers at the courthouse yesterday. No more us. No more lies, just a clear, clean break. I walked out feeling lighter, like I'd finally shed the weight of her betrayal, the weight of everything I'd been carrying these past few days. Is it the end? Honestly, I don't know. I keep thinking about what comes next, about what I lost and what I gained. One thing's for sure, I won't be trusting her again. Not ever. That's the part that stings most. I gave her everything and she threw it all away. The worst part, I still feel a strange emptiness, like I was fighting for closure but only found a hollow victory. So yeah, I guess I'm asking, was I wrong to do all this? Or am I justified in cutting her out completely? I honestly don't know if I'll ever fully get over it, but what I do know is that I won't let her do this to me again. Not ever. Sitting here now after everything played out, I've got a strange sense of clarity, though I wouldn't exactly call it peace. The house is empty, my things are packed, and the papers are filed. I handed over the keys yesterday, the final act in what feels like a long, brutal play. The weight of betrayal still lingers, but beneath that, there's a strange sense of relief. I finally took control. I took back my life piece by piece. You'd think I'd feel triumphant, but honestly, I just feel hollow. Every step of this journey has been a mess of emotion, anger, pain, disappointment, and annoying guilt that maybe I went too far. I kept telling myself I was justified, that I had no choice but to act this way. But I wonder sometimes if I crossed a line, if revenge made me just as bad as her. That's a thought I can't shake. Still, I know one thing for sure, I couldn't forgive her. Not anymore. The worst part, I keep replaying the moments when I first saw the evidence, when I realized everything I thought was real was just a fragile lie. That sick feeling in my stomach, the way my hands shook when I confronted her, those memories are burned into my mind. But now there's a different kind of feeling. It's a hard, cold acceptance. I won't ever trust her again. That's the cost of what she did. People keep asking me if I regret it. Honestly, I do and I don't. Part of me wishes I hadn't gone down this path, that I could somehow undo it all. But another part knows I had no choice. She betrayed me right before our wedding with my own brother. That's not something I could overlook or forgive easily. I did what I had to do to reclaim my dignity. As I write this, I feel a strange mixture of sadness and liberation. Sad for the shattered future I'd envisioned, the years I lost to her lies, but relieved because I finally see the truth about her, about myself. I learned that trusting blindly only leads to pain. I learned that sometimes you have to cut something out completely to survive. To anyone reading this, I'll say this: trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore the red flags, no matter how much you want things to work out. Because when the truth finally hits, it hits hard, and the fallout can change everything. I've learned that the hard way. Would I do it all over again? No. But I also know I'm stronger now for having gone through it. I may be scarred, but I'm free. I'm rebuilding, one step at a time, with a clearer mind and a sharper sense of what I deserve. And as for her, the woman I loved, the woman I thought was my future, she's gone. And honestly, that's the best thing I could have done for myself. I'll never forget, but I'll move forward. Because sometimes cutting someone out is the only way to save yourself. And that's what I did. That's the end of my story.